Hello everyone, welcome to AVLSI Lecture 36 Part 3. So today we are going to discuss about large signal analysis of a 5 transistor OTA, which we have started with the OTA topic, that is operational transconductance amplifier, and today we are going to look into details about its operation, especially the large signal analysis. So let's begin. Let's describe the circuit. So we have over here M1 and M2, which are my NMOS input devices. M3 and M4 form a current mirror, right? A PMOS current mirror specifically, and your M5 is replacing my ideal current source ISS, right? So M1, M2, and M5 are my NMOS transistors, and M3 and M4 are my PMOS transistors, right? Now, since they are forming a current mirror pair, we can say that VSG3 is same as VSG4, okay, for M3 and M4. Now, let's proceed ahead. Now, this is my large signal input output characteristics of a 5 transistor OTA, which we are going to analyze now. So what is in the x-axis over here? V in minus V in 2, that is my differential input, and we have a single-ended output. So it's basically your input output characteristics of a 5 transistor OTA, right? And one more thing we consider, that your M3 and M1 are in series. So current flowing through them will be same, and M2 and M4 are again in series. So current flowing through them also will be same. Now, let's just start with the analysis. So in the first scenario, we will consider that V in 1 is much more negative as compared to V in 2. That means V in 2 is sufficient to turn on M2, but V in 1, I mean, we have a DC bias also, right? V in 1 is not sufficient to drive M1 into the on state, right? So we are saying that V in 1 minus V in 2 is much, much less than 0. And we are saying that when that happens, my output is 0. Now let us see how that output is 0. So whenever my V in 1 is lesser than V in 2, right, it will turn off my M1 transistor. So if M1 transistor is on, my current flowing through M1 transistor will be 0. So ID1 will be 0. Since ID1 is 0, your ID3 will be 0 because they are in series. So M3 will be off. Now M3 and M4 form a current mirror pair. So if M3 is off, M4 also will be off. So current flowing through ID4 also will be approximately 0. So therefore, no current can flow from VDD, as both M3 and M4 also are also off. So basically what will happen is your M5 and M2 transistor will operate in the deep triad region, carrying a very negligible current. Okay. Now this output cannot be, up till VDD because M4 is completely off. So it's a high impedance state over here because the current is 0. Now, since M2 and M5 are in the weak on state, so the output will be pulled down to 0 via M2 and M5 transistor, as shown by this blue color part over here, right? Your output will be pulled down towards 0, logic 0, that is 0 volts via M2 and M5 transistor. So when this happens, whenever V in minus V into difference is very lesser than 0, right? So as you can see over here, the gain will be 0 as the output is 0. Fine. Now let's proceed forward. Now let's just say that as my V in approaches V into, that means now my V in is sufficient to turn on M1 transistor, right? For any transistor to turn on, its VGS voltage should be greater than VTN. And let's say that V in is providing that value. So M1 is turned on, so ID1 flows. Now since ID1 flows, your M3 also will be turned on, right? Because it's they are connected in series. If M3 turns on, M4 also turns on. So ID4 flows, right? So in such a case, all the transistors from M1 to M5 will be working in the saturation region. Now the output voltage will depend upon the difference between ID4 and ID2, right? So therefore, for a small difference between V in 1 and V in 2, inputs, both M2 and M5 will be saturated. And when they are saturated, that will provide your high gain at the output. So as you can see, as V in minus V into difference is very, very small, that means they are almost approaching zero. My gain will become higher and higher. Okay. So now what happens is, as V in 1 becomes more positive than V in 2, that means what we are saying, that V in 1 minus V in 2 is becoming greater than 0. Then what will happen? As V in 1 becomes more positive than V in 2, your ID1, ID3 and ID4 will increase. Okay. Whereas your ID2 will decrease. Now, why ID2 will decrease? Because ultimately ID1 plus ID2 is equal to ISS only, right? So now ISS is a constant current, right? Now, if ID1 is increasing due to increase in V in 1, my ID2 has to reduce, because right hand side ISS is a constant. So if ID1 is increasing, ID2 has to reduce, right? So as your ID2 reduces, your V out rises, right? Your ID2 is reducing, your V out will rise, right? As you can see over here very clearly. And eventually it will drive M4 into triode region, because your ID2 is reducing, right? So if ID2 is reducing, your ID4 is also reducing, right? So why? So because they are connected, M2 and M4 are connected in series. So now, that will drive M4 into triode region. Now what will happen is, if V in 1 minus V in 2 difference is sufficiently large, that means if V in 1 is sufficiently large as compared to V in 2, so what it will do, your V in 2 will not be enough, the voltage will not be enough to turn on the M2 transistor. So M2 will be off, right? So now M2 is off, so ID2 will be 0, right? Your ID2 will be 0, but your M5 was on, right? Your M5 was on. And here, in this case, whenever V in 1 is very much greater than V in 2, M2 will be off, but that will drive M4 to operate in the deep triode region with almost a negligible current. So now what is the current part now? Where will the output go? Whether it will go to 0 or whether it will go to VDD? No, it cannot go to 0 because M2 is completely off. So when a MOSFET is completely off, there is a high impedance state over here, right? So now, since M4 is weak on, there is very negligible current flowing through it. So output will be pulled up towards VDD. So now output will be equal to VDD, right? And that's what happens in case of large signal analysis. And whenever the output, whenever the difference between the two inputs is very much larger, right, greater than 0, my output will be reaching your VDD level. Fine. Now let's just summarize what we did so far. So with a proper choice of W by L ratios and ISS value, we can achieve a single-ended rail-to-rail signal swing. Okay. So if M1, now we have considered two cases. If M1 is carrying all of ISS current, then M2 remains off, allowing your output to be pulled up towards VDD via M4 transistor, right? This is one case. Conversely, when M2 is on, it will hog up all the ISS current, putting M1, M3 and M4 into off state, right? So since M2 and M5 being on will negligible current, your output will push to, it will push the output towards 0. So output will be 0, right? So that push-pull action between M2 and M4 transistors will produce your rail-to-rail swing at the output, which is a single-ended output, right? So this was all about the large signal analysis of your 5 transistor OTA, right? Now let's move on to the next one. I hope if you have a doubt, you can ask the question right now. So this is about the large signal analysis of 5 transistor OTA. Now let's move on to single stage OTA. That means this 5 transistor OTA only with the common mode inputs. What is a common mode input? Same input being applied at V in 1 and V in 2. That means your common mode input. And here additionally we are marking this as node A. So we are interested in finding what is the potential at node A and node C, or what is the potential at V out, assuming all transistors are identical, they are matched in their parameters, right? And we apply a common mode input. So what will be my V out? Okay, whether the V out will be 0 or whether it will be a finite value. So also we have to find out what is the DC value of the output of the circuit whenever V in 1 is equal to V in 2 with perfect symmetry. Okay, fine. So let's just proceed forward. So let's say that V in 1 and V in 2 is equal to VDD by 2. Okay, they are equal and their value is VDD by 2. Right? So what will be VSG3 and VSG4, because VSG3 and VSG4 are same. So we know that ID3 is given by the formula half mu p Cox W by L VSG minus mod of VTP the whole square, right? So this was the formula for ID3, correct? So we can write VSG3 minus mod of VTHP the whole square is equal to twice ID3 divided by mu p Cox W by L. Now, if I want to calculate only VSG3, then what I will do, it will be mod of VTP plus square root of twice. Instead of ID3, I will write ISS by 2, right? Why ISS by 2? Because ultimately ID1 plus ID2 will be equal to ISS, and ID1 and ID2 are same. So what will happen is ID1 and ID2 are same, and that is equal to ISS by 2. That's why over here, instead of writing twice ID3, we write twice ISS by 2 divided by mu p Cox W by L of P. Okay, so this is the value of the voltages VSG3, and VSG4 also is the same because they are in parallel. Now, due to perfect symmetry, since we have made sure that all the transistors are matched, okay, all the NMOS transistors are matched and all the PMOS transistors are matched. So due to perfect symmetry, we can say that the voltage at node A, VA, and V out is same. Okay. Now, if they are same, then we can say that your V out is equal to VA, right? And what is your VA voltage basically? Your VA voltage is nothing but your drain voltage of your empty transistor, right? Now let us write the source to drain voltage of empty transistor. So how can we write source to drain voltage? Source to drain voltage of empty transistor can be written as VSD3 will be equal to VSG3 minus mod of VTP. So why we are saying VTP? Because the threshold voltage of PMOS transistor, we can call it as VTP. And here, if I want to rewrite VSG3, it will be VSD3 plus mod of VTP. Okay. And we are assuming that M3 and M4 transistors are matched, and mod of VT3 will be equal to mod of VT4, which will be equal to mod of VTP. Right? So due to perfect symmetry over here, we can write VA voltage as equal to VDD minus VSG3. Okay, VA voltage will be VDD minus VSG3. So here it is, VDD minus VSG3. So what is VSG3? VSD3 plus mod of VTP. So here we can write V out is equal to VA, which is equal to VDD minus mod of VTP plus VSG3, SD3. Okay, so that's the DC value of the output which we are getting. So basically this OTA is rarely used in the open loop configuration. Okay, so that is what happens when we apply a common mode input to my single stage OTA circuit. Okay, so that's how that is how the DC value of the output is. Your V out will be equal to VA, and that will be equal to VDD minus mod of VTP plus VSD3. Okay, so we have completed a topic of discussion regarding this lecture session. So we have completed the large signal analysis of 5 transistor OTA, and we have also studied the what will happen when we apply the common mode input to this 5 transistor OTA. So that's all for today's session. Next time we will continue our discussion on the OTA, right, in further details. So that's it for today, and thank you for joining.